Welcome to the Big Bear Homestead. Today, we're taking part in a collaboration started by GoforgreenLiving. Collaboration is What If? Alright, so this collaboration is called What If? If you guys remember from the Preppers versus Homestead collaboration, it starts off with one person, then they ask a question, then they ask a question, and on down the line to these other channels.
Right.
So this is GoforgreenLiving baby again, so he started it off this time.
Right.
And so then he dropped the question to Dirtpatcheaven, and now Dirtpatcheaven has dropped the question to us.
Right.
And we're going to drop a question to
Life in the Farmland.
So, if you guys are just starting with us, go back to Dirtpatcheaven and Gophergreen and catch up there. And then afterwards, go to
Life in the Farmland.
Life in the Farmland and follow it. If you have not subscribed to these channels, check them out. Look at some of their other videos. If you like what they're saying and you like what they're putting out, hit that old red subscribe button for them. We all do appreciate it very much. Okay. Now that that's all out.
That's a lot.
You know what I'm excited about this time?
What?
We moved up in the batting order.
We have.
Yeah.
We're like third.
Yeah. We were almost batting
We
cleanup.
were on deck. Anyway, so what's up?
So, okay.
Question.
Our question from Dirtpatcheaven was, what if the trucks stopped rolling? What if the 18-wheelers
Couldn't bring food in, is what she said.
couldn't bring food in? You know, and we started discussing this.
Mm-hmm. Which is kind of funny. We started talking about this. She called me this morning and told me what the question was. And ironically, we were on our way to go pick up feed today. So it really got us thinking, you know, what if? So this is kind of, we're going to get a little heavy on you here because there's a lot.
This was a very good question.
Right.
Because this question was almost like a big stone tossed into a pond.
That makes ripple upon ripple.
Right,
upon ripple. Exactly.
Because with this question, you first have to go, well,
what happened?
Why did the truck stop rolling?
Right.
What caused it?
Right.
Is it something as simple as a union strike?
Right. Or some crazy law that now the 18-wheelers aren't allowed on the roads, or different times of day they're supposed to travel, or
what? Or is it something more complicated and more life-shattering, like an EMP or a fuel shortage?
Right. Or fuel, just no more fuel.
Yeah.
Right.
So we were trying to write it all down, our thoughts and everything, and the more that we talked about it, the more we were like,
we just need to talk about it.
We just need to talk about it on film like we do our live.
Right. Because
shows,
that's kind of what these are really supposed to be anyway.
Yeah. So if it was, let's go through the order that we were talking. If it was a strike, we would just wait it out here.
Right.
We're equipped enough, stocked up enough that we could wait out a strike. Because on average, strikes last a couple of weeks. Maybe a couple of months.
Right. And usually somebody hops the line and it ends up finally saying, wait, we're being really stupid here because there's still the necessity for somebody to drive a truck, so I'm still going to get paid.
Yep.
You know.
So there'll be a scabber jump
Right.
the line.
Right. And go.
You know, and then it'll start from there.
Mm-hmm.
But if this was an EMP, which we're not going to go
too far into
an EMP, let's just say that if this was an EMP, it would affect the trucks not permanently at first.
Right.
Because you still have some of your 1970s and older model 18-wheeler trucks that are still in existence. And you also still have some of them old mechanics around
that still know how to work on them.
They can go back there and make sure that they're running. And they can get their fuel from, obviously, tanks of the trucks that are no longer working, but also they could use hand pumps to pump the fuel out.
Right.
But that is a very finite time.
Right, because at some point they're not going to be able to continue to transport the gas itself to the gas stations. So
right. So, or get the gasoline from wherever it
needs to be transported.
Where it comes from. If stuff's coming, the oil and stuff's coming from overseas, and it was an EMP, a lot of ships are going to be down.
Right, and any of the mechanics, and I don't mean mechanics, people, I mean like the technology that now drills to get the oil and everything, all of that stuff would become useless.
Yeah. So we would have just a short amount of time to where they would come, and then that would lead us to our other issue, which was no fuel. Or
fuel shortage, to the point where fuel was so astronomical that the trucking companies couldn't afford to keep on the roads.
Right. And so that's the rabbit that we're gonna run.
Right.
Hardcore.
So what happens? What happens if no tractor trailers are able to run on the highways anymore?
We would have to change some things up here.
Well,
on the Big Bear Homestead.
The very first thing would be I wouldn't have a job because my job depends on being able to transfer stuff by 18-wheeler. It's not food, but it's still...
Right, but if you think about it, 99% of America will be out of a job.
Right, I mean, being able to travel... Because, I mean, more and more you see, because of hybrid cars, you see people traveling further distances to get to their jobs. I think Mike from Living on a Dime, didn't he at some point, or does he still work a good distance away?
Until you changed jobs, you were traveling 80
miles one way.
One way.
Mm-hmm. To get back and forth to work.
Get back and forth to work.
So that would, like, all of a sudden, it would be very difficult for people to get back and forth to work. That's one thing.
But the major thing that would hardcore impact us big time was what you learned this morning. That we didn't even know. This totally caught us off guard.
Yes, we went.
Tell them what you learned.
Okay, so we go to pick up the feed this morning, and the thing is, where we live, we are surrounded by cornfields, soybean fields, sugarcane fields. I mean, there's just driving from our house, which it's only maybe 10, 15 miles from our house to the feed store, maybe 15, somewhere around in there. But so we're driving all the way there. There's nothing but fields of corn and everything else that you would think goes in feed to get, to get to the feed and seed. Well, we get there, I say feed and seed, it's a feed production place. So we get there, and I'm like, yeah, look, I'm going to show, we got this question, I got this great answer. So we walk in, and I asked the guy, I said, hey, just out of curiosity, I said, how close are you guys to your source of feed? I said, because you do a lot of your milling and stuff, and he said, yeah. So, well, how far, let's just say driving radius, how far do you guys go to pick up all of your feed?
The ingredients.
Well, the ingredients, the ingredients for the feed. And he looked at me and he said, about 300 miles. And my son and I stopped and looked at each other and we were like, how far? And he said, we drive about 300 miles to get to, to get to the corn and stuff. The best corn's in wherever. Okay.
One way.
Yeah, just one way. And then I thought there was a silver lining. He said, but the best oats, and I'm thinking, oh, he's fixing to tell me they come closer. He said, but the best oats we get out of South Dakota. And I went, oh my gosh. Like, we did not realize. And I even asked him, I said, so with all of these farms around us, none of them supply you with the ingredients for your feed. He said, well, there's one farm that is close, maybe like 6 or 7 miles away, that they get some of their corn from, but not a whole lot. So then that begged the question. I said, well, and I explained myself to him because I know it was kind of a weird question. I said, well, we're doing this conversation back and forth with a bunch of people about, where we would be, what if scenarios. I said, and the scenario was posed to us, what would happen if the 18-wheelers weren't rolling anymore? And I have never seen such a grave look on somebody's face. I felt like I totally ruined his world for a few minutes. Because he was like, he said we would be done.
Yeah. he knows it just realize, and what you might have done to him is made him start to think, holy crap.
How dependent am I on fuel?
Yeah.
Because
my business, if the 18-wheelers can't roll anymore, I'm out of business. My livelihood is shot.
Done. And what he was saying, I mean, he had some good points. He said, look, we own all of our trucks. He said, so we don't outsource to anybody. I can put my son up in one of those trucks to go pick feed up. That's not an issue. He said, but food-wise, but supply-wise, and that was the other thing that we started talking about. We're like, okay, well, if the 18-wheelers can't roll because of fuel, let's really think about this. Because you're assuming that there's still going to be the farmer that's able to plow the field, plant the field, harvest the field, even get his seeds that he's planting in the field. Because if the tractor trailers aren't running, none of that happens.
Yeah, and our most 99.9999% of the commercial farms are relying on Monsanto seed because Monsanto has come in like a schoolyard bully and bullied everybody into through lawsuits and whatnot.
Yeah, Roundup Ready corn.
Into using their seeds.
Yep.
And so if they can't get those seeds, and plus they can't save those seeds.
Nope.
Because
that's
those
against
seeds
their
won't,
contract.
Well,
right.
It's not against their contract, but they won't germinate.
No. But it's against, like, when they use that, they're not allowed to save those seeds. Yeah. Like, that's not, they don't own the seeds.
So that, which then got us going, wow, and we did not realize that he only had a week's
well, that's
supply.
What I was getting ready to say. I asked him, I said, so you're saying you guys would be done? He said, yeah, we would last maybe a week. And I was like, a week? He said, yeah, we would last about a week, and that would be it. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, now when we go, we usually buy about a month's worth of feed at a time. So, initially we would be, we would have, depending on where we were in our feed.
And what time of year it hit.
Right.
And that's one of the things that got us going, that got us seriously thinking today, going, okay, this is a wake-up call.
Right. I really want to take a half a second just to say, man, Go for Green, thanks for this collaboration, because these two that we've had have really got us having a conversation about what we need to change. And I'm sure it's getting all of you to think as well, because we can't be alone in this. I'm sure everybody right now is going, oh my gosh, what?
Because I'll be 100% honest. When Go for Green started talking about this collaboration, and you told me it's going to be a what if, I was kind of cocky.
Oh, of course.
I was. I was like, I'm not sweating
this.
I got this. And because we have, over the years, have been basically walking this dog to the point where, now, we're no off-grid like Doug and Stacy, but we are walking our dog that way, that to the point that if something happened, it wouldn't be a far jump for us to go from where we are now to off the grid. Yes, it would suck
for a little while,
for a month or so, especially if it hit in the summertime. Where we are, it would suck to be without the AC. I'll be the first to admit it. But because of our practices that we've done over the years by flipping breakers off for a weekend and doing this,
right,
I don't think it would be, for us, it wouldn't be that far of a leap. But with the information that you came back with today,
that blew my mind.
I was like, whoa.
Because, we used to buy our feed from Tractor Supply. Like, when we lived down in Augusta area, we had to, because there was no real source for
There wasn't a feed mill
that
was close enough by. I mean, we went to Thompson and we found that feed and seed.
But it was crap. I don't know where he was getting his stuff from, but I don't want to say crap. Well, it was a lower end feed is what I mean to say. It was what we're getting now.
They used to be friends with us until you said that.
Yeah, right. No, what I mean is, it's not that their feed is crap. What I'm saying is that it was just an all stock, general, low end filler feed.
Right.
That's all it
but
was.
But they milled some of. They didn't mill it all, but
no,
they
milled some of it. Right.
There. Where we're at now,
everything is milled.
Everything is milled there. But I honestly thought, because we were in farm country, that the stuff minus, for some reason they put M&Ms in some of the things.
And they say they get those from the chocolate factories, the ones that are broken or chipped or whatever, they throw them away. And so they sell them to the feed companies to be able to put a little extra sweetener in there.
I was figuring minus the M&Ms. Everything else, and some of the pellets that are in the pig feed, figured it really won't affect them that much.
Especially the amount of corn that we see growing. I mean,
and I figured, of course, all these boys would go. It may jack the price up a little bit because they would have to go back to horse and buggy and stuff, bringing it
to transfer it,
and blah blah blah. But I didn't figure it would have that big of an impact on our feed mill. 300
miles one way.
So one of the things now that we're going to do is we're going to up the amount of fodder that we plant. We're going to start our own little fodder system, kind of like how Brad has the Big Family Homestead, how they did a couple of videos on it, and I really like their little setup. It was real simple, real easy. We've been looking
for years,
doing fodder for years, off and on, but it was like we never could find a proper setup.
The scenario, and then I mean, some people, your resources are different. Some homesteaders have a bigger income to be able to do this stuff with. Some don't. We don't. We don't have money just coming out of our ears. So we have to, one, we have to prioritize, and two, we have to prioritize, but then number two, we try to make the best out of things that we already have. And so we were trying to...
And with the fodder, we weren't at our forever homestead yet either.
Right, that's true.
So we could have had to pick up and move at any given point in time. Right. So that was one of those things that was on the back burner.
Right.
That we just... Yeah, we'd eventually like to have it, but we're not going to run that rabbit because...
Right. But now...
now we're at our forever homestead, and we've got a shed or two that we could put it in.
Right.
And that we're going to start cranking that up here in the next week or so.
And the other thing we got to talking about is not just the fodder system and not fodder garden, but we also need to get in a better routine of our eggs hatching out. We cannot rely on the post office being able to ship chicks.
Nope.
Because what we've always fallen back on is if we had a hen that just didn't take care of chicks and we lost them to a predator or whatever, it was just always, well, if we have to, we can get some.
We'll call the hatchery.
We'll just suck it up and save up and get some chicks. We can't rely on that. And so we have to really start thinking, we got to get on a better routine of being able to balance between eggs for consumption and eggs for reproduction. Because we've got meat birds right now, and I know a lot of y'all are running some meat birds right now, but they're all primarily male.
Yeah.
They're not a renewable resource. So, right now, earlier, I wasn't really too worried about my chickens that are out in the tractor out there that were the spring chickens. We went out there this morning and I realized we have like 7 hens and 1 rooster. Out of that hatch, we ended up with 7 hens and a rooster. After our conversation today, those guys are going to be treated like gold because they're our next generation of being able to produce eggs that are fertile that we can put in the incubator. So we really got to get in that mentality that these hens are worth their weight in gold because we have to be able to have hens to continue to be sustainable.
Yep. And just like we're going to keep doing that with the quail. I think every quail egg from now until the end of summer just needs to go straight into the incubator.
Our problem, and Blaze and I were talking about this, our problem is we don't have a big adult population out there. So we have to wait like a week before we have enough to put them all, you know, for it to be worth doing. So, but yes, we're definitely going to get on a routine. And that's what we got from this collaboration is, besides planting the garden, stuff of that nature, we really have to think about getting in a routine of incubation. Especially if crap were to hit the fan one way or another, whether it's gas or EMP, if we don't have an incubator anymore because of power, because even with a fuel situation, eventually the power grid would go down. So if we don't have an incubator, again, we have to make sure we got some hens, because they need to be able to sit on those eggs and incubate them.
That's true.
So, you know, so that was the other thing. And then we started talking, another thing we're going to need to do is we have to bolster up our chicken housing and tractors. We have to be able to move these birds around on grass, because if we're not going to have a big, huge supply of feed, we have to be able to supplement them. And so that's going to be maggot buckets like we were talking about on our live show, and it's going to be making sure we're moving them around on that grass. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is if we safely put them in tractors. So that's another thing we got to put into effect.
So you're telling me I got to build more chicken tractors?
Mm-hmm. We have to build more chicken tractors.
Is it going to be the real we, or like how we just built the last ones?
I was there. I was there in spirit with moral support. Yay, team!
Oh, namaste.
That's exactly right. So anyway, that's what we...
So that's some of the things we're going to have to do. We know we'd have to beef up the garden. Mm-hmm. Another thing that we would have to do for food-wise is I would have to start setting more traps around our pond to protect the fish that are in there.
Yes.
Because law or no law,
there won't be anybody there to enforce it.
You know, all these predatory birds that are protected that come in my pond that get my fish, they're gonna have to disappear.
The local DNR forestry or the rangers or whatever they are is miles and miles and miles away from here. So getting somebody to actually come out and enforce shooting a crane or shooting a whatever, shooting an alligator, that won't be there, because there's going to be bigger fish to fry than somebody protecting their own property.
But I'm just saying, that's something that we would have to put into effect. Mm-hmm. But the major, now here's, all of those things sound pretty heavy, right? Yeah. All of those things sound like a major priority. Those are second. Our homestead, not by our choosing or not by our doing, sits in a very dangerous spot.
Yes. And some of you might be in the same predicament, because I know this is not something that just our area does. This is stuff that goes on throughout the entire country.
We have a church that is very close by to our homestead. Every month, they give out food.
They have a food distribution because they work with Golden Harvest Food Bank, and they are able to get canned goods, fresh vegetables, bread, all of that.
They're able to get lots of things.
They do those milk crate boxes that you see at the grocery store that carries like 4 gallons of milk. They fill one of those boxes full of food.
Yeah, that's which puts us in danger because that line is wrapped around the church
and a cemetery, like it goes around the entire
by 7 a.m.
They start distributing at 8. I remember when I was working at Arby's and I would have to leave at like 5:30 in the morning, they were already in line.
Yeah, there was.
I know at Christmas time, like November and December's distribution,
they were there
at like
2
3 o'clock in the morning, they're already lined up, ready to get this food.
So our major thing.
I just thought of something. If there's no fuel, how are they going to get there to get it?
But some people, well, just like how some YouTubers will say move out to rural areas because it's less chance for people to come that way. Why would they even come that way? Well, eventually, when hungry people have ransacked everything in the town
in
or
their
the city,
area, right?
their idiot
They start
area, they're going to start
moving out,
coming, and they're going to get in mobs, and they're going to get in gangs, and they're going to start moving. And all it takes is for them to catch wind of us cooking one time. All it takes is for them to hear the cow moo one time, a chicken, a rooster go off one time, and they're going to start coming this way because they're hungry. They don't care. So our big thing that we lack, a major thing that we lack, is security. And it's very hard to secure 21
acres. It's very difficult.
Now, we have the benefit of having a nice beaver swamp on one side of us. That does help out some. But I would be busy dropping trees and making a wall. I wish I could get Mexico to pay for it.
And we have plenty of trees back there. We would have the resource to be able to do it.
It would be. I would turn it into a
what do you call it? Like what?
Like a Middle Ages. A Middle Ages like castle,
like a moat,
or how they would surround the town with the trees with like the pencil tops.
I know what you're talking about.
You know that I would make bumblefoots everywhere.
Explain to everybody what a bumblefoot is.
I would dig pits and make pit traps in access areas that I know my livestock won't be going in.
Right.
You know, but Joe Schmo coming for your cow may travel that way. And so I would be setting things like that up. We would have posts out on our 21 acres, and we've got 5 people here. Hopefully a couple of my buddies that I served with and a couple of them that I went to high school with will make it here, and we'll have our own little...
Well, and we have at least one, if not 2 families that would probably end up setting up shop over here. So, and you would have a couple, out of those couple families, you would have a few able bodies that would be able to stand post, and then the ones that were not able to stand post would definitely contribute with the home side of it, to be able to cook and keep everything in order. So we've put that kind of into place that would help. It wouldn't just be you, me, and the kids.
And Capri.
Right.
No, and that's one of the things with my trapping background. You know, it may be a trapping for coons right now, but don't think for one second that he won't trap into
broken legs and
trapping somebody that's coming and trying to get my stuff.
Right.
You know, but those are some things that we have to take into consideration when you're doing any of these kind of what if scenarios. But those are just a few things that we would have to change.
No, let me one more thing before you wind up here. We didn't really address the whole food issue. We have quite a bit of food stored, and we didn't, in a roundabout way, we addressed it, but we didn't from the front address it. Why we're saying we'd need to keep up with our animals is because we know how to process those animals. We would know how to preserve the meat and do stuff of that nature. So we're not really as worried about our food source. Like the original question was posed, where if the food truck wasn't able to come into our town, we wouldn't have to worry as much about.
No, because I hunt, I trap, I fish. We have our own livestock. The only thing that would change just for food preparation is we would have to get the smokehouse going. And it would probably run a lot. Because anytime I dropped a deer or caught a beaver or whatever, we'd have to smoke it. Or dehydrate it. One of the things that we wanna purchase is a
solar oven.
that Great American
Great
Sun
American Sun Oven.
Sun
Whatever
Oven.
it is, yeah.
We want to get it, so then we can dehydrate stuff, make jerky, and blah blah blah.
Right.
One of the things that we would have to do was definitely expand our garden. We'd have to make it bigger. And we would stick with the back to Eden style as long as we could
with
the wood chips.
Right.
We would have to probably over time we'd probably have to switch the wood chips to hay or grass or something.
Compost, right? More compost.
We would have to mulch it with grass that we would have to cut down by hand.
Right.
So we would do that, which would up our vegetable production. I also think that we would probably, instead of just doing small little beds, that we would probably, it would benefit us to go to a square foot gardening style, so that way we're getting more per square foot.
Right.
You know, it may even benefit us to just put everything in a raised bed, so that way we can have a little bit more control over it. That would definitely be something we would have to look at the materials that we have on hand, what we could make, what we couldn't make, and go from there.
Right.
Because not only now is that vegetable garden going to have to produce for us, but that's going to be a second fodder system that's going to have to produce for our livestock.
Right. Well, and we have an area that we've set aside since we moved here that we're going to eventually put into a place for an additional just fodder garden.
Just fodder.
And so after this conversation, we realized that
it's going in the fall.
That needs to happen like now.
Yeah.
That is not open for discussion. So, especially with the political climate that we're in right now, it may not be a fuel shortage that causes the problem, but we could have a problem coming. And so we kind of need to put that into place, especially now that we know about 300-mile radius.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
So, that's our answer to our what if question.
Yes. Now.
So, fade out, fade in. So now, our question for
life in the farmland.
Life in the farmland. We're relatively new to life in the farmland.
And I don't even think, it might not even be it might just be life in farmland. It's, anyway.
You had one job.
I know. Well, I was just so, I was doing research, watching videos. I wasn't paying attention to or just in.
I think we've been subscribed to them for a couple weeks, maybe.
A little while.
So I think by watching some of their videos, they're a lot like us. They pretty much got a lot of it together.
They do. They have looks like they're a little bit polycultured. They've got some chickens and some hogs that they do every year. But I think even this question would kind of get them thinking too, because from what I understand, they bring in their pigs every year. They don't have a mom and a dad that that it's not a sustainable source. It's something that they have brought in. So yeah, a lot of people are going to be like, wow, we really need to think about that. But anyway.
But from watching their videos, trying to gauge their personality, I think we got kind of a fun question.
We want to have a fun one, right? Because we know, I think his name is Eric. I think is his name. Anyway, we wanted to ask him just a kind of off the wall kind of question. So,
it's not off the wall.
Yeah, it is. It's a little off the wall. Okay.
What if you woke up in the morning and saw parachutes? That's right. What if America was invaded by a foreign country? North Korea, China, the Great Cold Mother, Russia.
Like Red Dawn style.
Yeah, like a Red Dawn style.
Kind of blitz
attack. What if?
We'll be interested to see the answer to that one.
That one's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
So, thank you for stopping by, watching us take part in this collaboration. Like always, visit us on the web at www.bigbearhomestead.com. Don't forget, t-shirts are available on our website.
Yep.
Again, www.bigbearhomestead.com. Just gotta throw that out.
I know.
We're also still relatively new to Instagram, so if you're on Instagram, come on over and follow us. If you're on Twitter, you can follow us there. On Facebook, come on over, give us the old like. If you're new to our channel and you are following this collaboration, you liked what you saw, please hit the like button. And also, please, that little red square over there in the corner, please mash that one that says subscribe. We want to hear y'all's feedback in the comments. So come on down and comment. Share your thoughts. Did we miss something?
We forget something?
Did we not elaborate enough on something? Let us know. And that's about it, right?
About it.
Yep. So, here it comes.
As always.
I know what you're waiting for. We love you guys. Don't forget, tonight, because you guys are going to be seeing this on Sunday, tonight, for 1 week only, we're being the substitute teachers for Tommy Off-Grid Nation during his time slot with the Homestead Network, and we will be live again Sunday from 9 to 10.
That's almost past my bedtime.
You'll be okay, Mama.
You're my beauty best.
I don't know if I want you anymore, beautiful. I have to fight all these guys, and I'm just getting too old.
You're sweet.
We're also live. We're going to start this Monday. We're also going to go live on Monday from 8 to 9, right? Mm-hmm. And, of course, we're always live every Friday, part of the Homestead Network from 8
to 9.
8 to 9 on Fridays. Mm-hmm. From 8 to 9 is us, and then from 9 to 10 is GoforgreenLiving. Mm-hmm. So, the Homestead Network, we are taking over weekend television. That's just the way to put it.
Best way to put it. Yep.
So, turn off the cable bill. Come watch us. Go to thehomesteadnetwork.com. It's all the showtimes and everything are listed there. Yep. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Mm-mm. We've got all different types of homestead families, off the gridders, preppers, everything that you'll more than likely never hear the same thing twice.
And it's all from different parts of the country.
Yep. And Canada.
Well, yeah. And Canada.
Yep. So, thanks for coming by. And as always, have a nice day.